Those were the immortal words of Al Jolson in what was the first synchronized dialogue in a feature film. And he was right. By the mid-1930s, nearly all films produced in Hollywood would be talkies. And in 1927, with The Jazz Singer, audiences didn't just hear actors on the screen, they heard the death knell of the silent film. But how did Hollywood get to the point where it could produce feature-length sound movies? And what problems would it face because of them? Hello and welcome to 100 Years of Cinema. We'll be taking a look at least one film a year from 1915 to track the evolution of film over the last century. The Jazz Singer was the first feature-length film to have synchronized speech and music, but the desire to have images speak to the audience goes back to almost the beginning of film. In 1894, Thomas Edison started work combining his single-viewer peep show exhibitor, the kinetoscope, with his wax cylinder phonograph to create the kinetophone. Here is one of the earliest examples of synchronized sound in film history. The kinetophone had one major drawback. Due to the lack of amplification, it could only be viewed by one person at a time. And with new developments in projection increasingly making moving images into a group experience, the kinetophone was quickly forgotten. What followed between 1900 and 1910 were a series of sound-on-disc formats, which mechanically linked the mechanism of a projector to a disc player to synchronize sound. An example of this was the phonoscene, which combined images captured on a chronograph with sound recorded on a chronophone.
Pour remplacer la boxe française, on a pris la boxe japonaise. Schützt man heutzutage?
The problem with these early sound-on-disc systems was that they were extremely quiet. They could only record for a few minutes at a time and would quickly lose sync if the needle jumped a groove. In the next 10 years, cinema would see two major developments in the evolution of sound technology. The first was the sound-on-film process, called the tri-ergon process. By translating sound waves into electrical pulses and then into light, filmmakers could record sound directly onto a film strip, eliminating all problems synchronizing sound. The next advance was the invention of the Audion tube by inventor Lee De Forest, which would finally allow for the amplification of sound. De Forest went on to combine his amplification technology with the sound-on-film process of his own design called the phonofilm.
It's a funny thing, for a man that's good-looking as I am, I get the homeliest girl.
The De Forest phonofilm was so popular that almost 1,000 short films were made in the first 4 years since its release.
You see the wing she gave me?
Sure.
That was meant for me. I'm going to take her out tonight. So let me have some money for tonight, will you?
Well, I have no cash, maybe I could give you a check.
But despite this, it failed to turn the heads of Hollywood studios. The first sound process to be taken seriously by Hollywood was the Vitaphone.
Come on, boy.
The studio in actual operation. And that is the next thing we're going to do. Are you ready, Mr. Heller?
All right, everybody quiet, please. After the bell.
All the time in the tropical time, where they do that funny, funny dance. I fell in love with the tropical dove while doing that funny, funny dance.
This is the form of record that is employed. Portion of the mechanism actually operates, although the lamp has been operated all this time. We will operate the rest of the mechanism and show the picture completely as it is now recorded on the screen for your benefit.
A sound-on-disc format developed by Western Electric, who in 1925 went into business with a new, relatively small studio called Warner Brothers Pictures Incorporated. Together they produced the first feature-length Vitaphone film in 1926 called Don Juan, and although it had no synchronized speech, it did feature synchronized sound effects and a soundtrack recorded by the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. It was incredibly well received, but it failed to recoup its costs of $790,000. And a big reason for that was that theatres simply weren't ready for sound films, which required expensive equipment that often wasn't compatible with other sound formats. After the critical success but commercial failure of Don Juan, Warner Brothers plunged themselves into debt, spending upwards of $3 million rewiring all of their theatres for Vitaphone, and announcing that every film produced in 1927 would be accompanied by a Vitaphone soundtrack. So for their next production, they chose to adapt a successful stage play of the time, The Jazz Singer. It was the most expensive film in the studio's history, with a budget of around $500,000. Starring famous singer of the day Al Jolson as the son of a Jewish cantor who forsakes his father and religion in pursuit of jazz and fame. And although the film is often lauded for being the first talkie, it was originally planned as a silent film, with 6 synchronized songs by Al Jolson. However, in 2 scenes, Jolson improvised dialogue that made it into the final cut. The first one is performing for a crowded room.
Wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you, you ain't heard nothing. You want to hear Toot Toot Tootsie? All right, hold on. Lou, listen, play Toot Toot Tootsie, 3 choruses, you understand? And the 3rd chorus, I whistle. Now give it to him hard and heavy. Go right ahead.
Where he takes a line from the stage play, and the second in which he improvises this exchange with his mother.
You like that, Mama? I'm glad of it. I'd rather please you than anybody I know of. Oh, darling, will you give me something?
What?
You'll never guess. Shut your eyes, Mama. Shut them for little Jackie. Oh, I'm going to steal something. I'll give it back to you.
After this, the film slips back into the standard silent film along with intertitles. And although there are only 2 scenes with synchronized speech, they had a massive reaction with the audience, who burst into standing ovation after dialogue sequences and applause after each song.
Now a gala event ushers in a new era in motion pictures. With the premiere of The Jazz Singer starring Al Jolson, sound comes to the screen.
I'm a-comin'. Sorry, I made you wait. I'm coming. I hope and trust I'm not late. Mammy, I'd walk a million miles for one of your smiles on my man.
Although the film was a critical and commercial success, taking in around $3.5 million at the box office, it was not without its complications. The Vitaphone process was extraordinarily difficult to project. Each of Jolson's musical numbers was recorded on a separate reel of film and a separate Vitaphone disc, so although the film was only 89 minutes long, it still required 15 reels and 15 sound discs that had to be played and synchronized in sequence. A slight error could throw the film out of sync and would ruin the show. Paramount went on to follow the success of The Jazz Singer with a second Vitaphone production, The Singing Fool, in 1928, also starring Al Jolson. Then they produced the first all-talking feature-length film, The Lights of New York.
And now folks, we're going to have the Dancing Pirate. And believe me, boys, take it from me, they'll take it from you.
Come in. Oh, who is it?
Well, it ain't nobody else.
Now what do you want?
Well, I want a lot of things.
and by 1929, just 2 years after The Jazz Singer, there were 335 all-dialogue films produced by Hollywood. Along with the Vitaphone, there were several other sound systems being used in Hollywood, including the Fox Movietone and the RCA Photophone, both sound-on-film systems, and because many of the systems were incompatible, Hollywood had to choose one. In 1928, 5 Hollywood studios signed the Big Five Agreement, agreeing to choose a standard method for sound production, eventually settling on the sound-on-film process because it eliminated issues with synchronization, was easier to produce, edit, and project. Vitaphone would quietly stop producing films in 1931, and although Vitaphone eventually lost the sound war, The Jazz Singer still holds a place in cinema history as the film which sparked a revolution in sound technology. As Robert E. Sherwood, a reviewer for Life magazine, wrote in 1927, the film was fraught with tremendous significance, and I for one suddenly realised that the end of the silent drama is in sight.